Woohoo! We're free from Galen! Yeah! Party time!
You do know he'll hear that when he's editing this episode, right?
Oh, right. Can I at least remain optimistic? Just for today. Just for today.
I will allow it this time.
Thank you very much. And let's get optimistic in general. Talk about some uplifting tunes, about joy. Welcome to the Music Arcade. Hello everyone, I'm Ronicle.
And I'm Eddie, and you may have noticed there's no Galen today.
I noticed that, yeah. Let's just say that he went to some distant worlds.
Subtle.
Perhaps a little.
Yeah, he's out enjoying a video game concert without us. How dare he?
And some other stuff too.
Yes.
He looks like he's having a great time, and let's have a slightly less yet still great time ourselves recording this podcast and talking about music that brings us joy and widen the question a little bit for a start. Let's pick our brains, and I brought a question to you before recording and deciding on the track, so let's just ask it out in the open. What keeps you optimistic? What brings you hope and joy in your life?
Yeah, so that's a question that surprisingly I had to stop and think for a bit, because I am...
No, that's pretty normal. I had to think about it myself, and I'm the one who asked it.
I mean, it doesn't help that I'm naturally a pessimistic guy, like, for a
Which
variety
make it all the more interesting. Like, the episode theme was basically, let's pick something gloomy. Wait, no, we already did that. Let's twist it around. We may have already done that, but honestly, we'll take all the happiness we can get these days. Am I right?
Yeah, a quick peek behind the curtain. Our initial idea was, we didn't really do a Gothic theme episode, did we? Then we looked it up. Yes, episode 20, one of the first ones. But yeah, so...
Yeah, I still need to get working on that centralized episode themes and games covered internal document.
Turns out we should have expected 100 episodes and we didn't.
Crazy.
Anyway, what does make me optimistic? So, at the end of the day, since I'm a fairly pessimistic guy, I tend to look at things as like hope for the best, expect the worst. So I'm pretty much always in a pessimistic frame of mind. But since I did grow up with, this is gonna get a little bit sad, but I swear this is going somewhere. I did grow up. Yeah, I did grow up as an undiagnosed autistic guy, so that also comes with that territory. Also comes the sense of being an outcast. So I was the weirdo sitting in the corner who played video games and who couldn't play sports because I have asthma as well. In a country where there's a joke that we do have a national religion and it's soccer.
Yep.
So something that makes me feel happy and hopeful is when I feel like my experiences have been validated. And I think I talked about that a little bit when we did the Score concert a long while ago.
I see. So finding your community, finding a sense of belonging somewhere.
And
or just being seen.
Yes, basically. And like having confirmation that my experiences are valid, as valid as anyone else. Right?
Yeah. That's a pretty good answer. I know you had it in you.
Somewhere there's some optimism still alive.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, when we talk about video games, like video game music, how does that translate? What does that mean? And
Yeah, I mean, there's enough video game music to do an almost 100 episode podcast about it. Maybe more.
And it turns out I went for a medley that isn't in the video game, but uses video game music because that's honestly the best representation of this feeling for me.
Yeah, like it's recent experiences.
That too.
It's, if nothing else, the fact that, as we occasionally say, they somehow keep making good video games with good music. Crazy.
Yep. But I'm bringing in the big guns. Let's say the Game Awards Game of the Year medley that they do every year. I could have picked from any year. I picked 2025 just because it's the most recent one. And it's for a similar reason as to what I commented on our episode on the Score concert. It's as cynical as you might want to be about the Game Awards and about award shows in general. This medley still is a very optimistic look back at the games of the previous year.
It's a celebration.
It is, and it's since it's music, it's very specifically a celebration of the music. It's a very hopeful and happy look into that music, into the main themes at least.
Yeah, like even for the detractors of the Game Awards, I don't really see many people saying, ugh, I can't believe they're going to delay the announcement of Game of the Year with the concert part. And if I met someone like that, I wouldn't want to stick around with them because their opinions would be rancid.
That is very fair. And also, it's worth bringing up one person in particular when we talk about optimism and the Game Awards, which is the flute guy. Real name Pedro Eustache. He is born in Venezuela, but is, I think, has been for a few years at this point, based in Los Angeles.
And like he is definitely a presence, but every time I just hear remotely interviews about the game, he just seems very happy to be playing music and to enjoy it and to have a great time, and he does seem like a very bright and shining presence on this stage.
Yeah, in 2025 in particular, they had a specific camera that was constantly pointing at him, and whenever he changed instruments, they would change to that camera.
Which happened like 6 times in the 5 minutes of this medley.
Yeah, basically, I think every song had one new instrument, including a PVC pipe flute that he made at home.
Yeah, because creativity is for everyone.
I do want to give the guy more credit than most people in the gaming world do. He isn't just the Game Awards flute guy. He actually,
of course.
He actually has, I think it's a master's degree in jazz. He works for movies. He shows up in the Dune Part 2 soundtrack. He also does live concerts. He is like a legit instrumentalist in LA. He does.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And like, he wouldn't be there and come back every time just for the memes. He's there because he's a great player who just happens to have a very noticeable haircut and an intense body language when he's playing.
Yeah, I think there's even an interview where he says that it's specifically I think Lorne Balfe is the arranger. Eustache specifically says that it's their arrangements for the Game Awards that make him that happy on stage.
Oh, great!
And I get it because there are some years where I almost want to tear up a little bit because the medley is that powerful in the sense of what we just said at the top of like validating my experiences, because I was the nerdy guy who played video games and didn't have friends. So the sense of validation that this is a valid art form and deserves a full orchestra treatment. Like that's strong sometimes.
Hell yeah, brother.
And 2025 was a very good medley. It's always really cool, but 2025 you can't really say it's 100% seamless because they do want to showcase the songs specifically, so you do feel the seams, but it was.
But the transitions are very enjoyable in themselves.
Yeah, they were very natural. I think it's a good way of putting it. Even the transition to the Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is the only song in the medley to have vocals, that transition also worked really well, and the entire medley was great.
And it's interesting because there were other games in that selection that would have vocals, but I guess they went with this one specifically because it fits the theme of the game with the presence of a character that's a singer on your shoulder at all times, which I suppose makes it even more present than Expedition 33 of all things.
Speaking of, I was going to bring up Expedition 33 because the soundtrack to Expedition 33 can sometimes sound happy, but for the most part, it has a certain melancholy to it. But the medley for the Game Awards managed to make it sound happy. Like the main theme sounds happy, at least happier than the original, and it still works.
I mean, a lot of that track, of that soundtrack, is about love in various forms, including the love of creation. And sometimes there's a cost to that, which is where the melancholic aspects come in, but there's a celebration to be had there and to integrate as part of a broader medley like that. So it works.
Yeah, it's I always enjoy the medley, but the 2025 medley is definitely one that I will probably remember for a while because it was really good.
Very well.
And now for what makes you feel optimistic.
Well, I'll also be starting from a place that's a bit like joy has sometimes to be not earned per se, but it's not something that happens on its own. And so I thought it, turned it around, and I guess my conclusion is that fear, sadness, sorrow, all of these are temporary. That's the kind of conclusion I came to on that front, that the tragic moments, the worries and the difficulties, they eventually have an end. And then even if things aren't the same as they used to be, they even if there are obstacles in your way, on the other side, no matter how ungraceful crossing that obstacle may have been, the sun is still rising the next day, you know?
I see.
It's little things, but like there's been enough times I've had some lows, and despite them I can still enjoy the little things and the big moments of glory and joy and celebration, and bask in them. This doesn't negate the bad times, but it's life.
It is.
And so with that sub-theme of kind of facing adversity, of fear being temporary, is how I shorten it, I went with something a bit celebratory and triumphant for my first pick that answers this question. In the Won-Stoppable Wonderful 100 from the Wonderful 101 soundtrack, with lyrics written by Hideki Kamiya. Although I don't know if he wrote the English version as well. I believe so, but I'm not 101% certain.
If it is, it sounds remarkably grammatically correct.
Yeah, no, he speaks pretty fluently.
That's not something you see that often.
Yeah. Many years of Twitter shitpost. Many years of Twitter arguments will have some perks somehow for those that manage to wrestle them. And yeah, I guess for this game specifically, there's the notion of working together that are very much an integral part of this game. Because essentially, you're just a tiny little guy fighting huge invaders from outer space and the likes, and you gather people and unite up, as the catchphrase goes, and then start punching and slicing your way through gargantuan monsters as just tiny little dudes. And it's, despite its very optimistic, very cheerful, very dynamic, heroic theme and music and visuals, it's a very difficult game. Like, if you search for it a little, one of the first videos you will find is a video on how to figure out the basics and middle techniques in order to really start enjoying the game and not constantly bash your head against it. And that video is over an hour long.
Jesus, that just makes me think of those Paradox Grand Strategy games where the difficulty curve is a vertical line.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Or the comparison that came to my mind is for a more recent game, which is Silksong, because for that too, there's been arguments that have been made about how the game demands a lot out of you, but that there's kind of this theme that it has faith in your ability to succeed.
Makes sense. Yeah, I've heard things about the difficulty curve of a Silk Song as well.
Yeah. And I guess this one is kind of similar, a bit more open-ended, and there's definitely some breathing room, but it can be pretty tricky to play it in a kind of high action, high scoring kind of way as well, because you can struggle through it and kind of cough up your lungs as you crawl through every encounters, and it kind of works, but it's not really as much an enjoyable experience as when things and characters, for that matter, really come together. But it can, and when it does, it's great, and when you get your pure platinum rankings, it feels amazing. And that's cool, having the satisfaction on an aesthetic, but also on a gameplay part of doing things and getting rewarded for it feels nice. Also, the usage of the theme.
It does feel like one of those games that would feel very rewarding, even if just for the sheer scale of what you're doing.
Oh, you haven't heard the last of it. A wonderful transition, because when it comes to when the music is used, it's used at the start. The main theme, like the musical through line of it returns regularly, but it's also used in the final sequence, where you are facing a huge alien that's larger than the Earth and is about to shoot at it, and you have your gigantic robots and your former rivals turned allies on their own evil-looking ships around you, and you are getting shot at, and so you defend yourself by preparing the final ultimate legendary Earth Power Supermax Justice Future Miracle Dream Beautiful Galaxy Big Bang Little Bang Sunrise Starlight Infinite Fabulous Totally Final Wonderful Arrow Fire. And what happens when you do is that it's a platinum game, so there's a QTE, there's a lot of QTE throughout the game, and this one literally says match B to protect Earth, and not only do you do that on your Wii U gamepad or Switch controller or whatever input device you're using, but you get, over the course of the stages of the QTE, looks at different characters, like your main group of heroes on the cockpit of the ship, themselves mashing the button as you do, because as the tagline say, and as the difference between the song title and the game title say, there's 100 heroes, and the 101st hero is you, the player.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's a very cool moment that's extremely corny, but I like it.
The vibe I got from the song was, in particular from the vocals, the choir.
Yeah,
it was a very Saturday morning cartoon vibe.
101%.
But it sounded like, to be very specific, the English adaptations of mecha anime, when they try to make of those more family friendly.
Or a Super Sentai kind of deal.
Yeah,
it's like definitely that sort of inspiration.
It does work. Like, it works really well for that.
It wears it on its sleeve. It's kind of like Code Vein that's about to come out. It's the kind of game where if it was less excessive, it would be less good. It's the excess that's kind of taking it over the edge and moving it from kind of cringe and to, yeah, no, I'm into it.
Yeah, probably.
Even though these cases are playing vastly different themes.
Also correct.
With that, let's move on to our next pick for this episode. And next two picks grouped together, in fact. Let's look at things from above and talk about some Anno 1800s and some Rise of Nations.
Yeah, so another way of approaching the thing that came to my mind was specifically with Anno at first, was the first franchise that came to my mind, was the feeling of optimism for your colony growing, right? Because the Anno franchise, for those who are not familiar, it's mostly about the economy with a little bit of combat. And the economy is basically about colonizing islands, but you're not colonizing people. So it doesn't bring that negative baggage of the idea of colonization. It's just empty islands.
Settling.
Yeah, that's a better way of looking at it. You're settling into new islands that are not populated, and you're making your people thrive there. So that sense of, of growth and of hope for the future, of expecting great things, maybe the start of a golden age, if you want to look at it that way.
I mean, I get it to the point where during the research phase, one of the first tracks that got into my mind was like well, not a specific track, but I was immediately thinking there's definitely a track from Anno 2070 that's going to fit. And then I saw the pic and I was like, yeah, no, you got that covered. I believe in you.
Yeah, I don't think I've played that game too much. I haven't played the entire Anno franchise. I mostly played 1404, 1701, and 1800, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly. But yeah, so my first instinct was to go for Anno because it's a strategy game where you can see your civilization grow, and there's barely any combat. There's barely anything
Yeah.
negative around it.
It's more about a similar feeling to like a factory builder game, like a Satisfactory or Factorio, or another game that I am playing, and we'll talk about that more in Now Playing, where you're getting parts and you're advancing and things get more complicated as you do. Your production lines get start with this leads to that, which brings benefits, and eventually involve multiple islands in multiple continents coming together. But when it does come together, when you manage to arrive at having this highly advanced product, at having this multi steps process that actually reach a point where first they happen and then they happen in a stable fashion with full saturation, that just feels very satisfying.
Yeah, it's that feeling that I wanted to capture, and Anno was the first thing that came to my mind. Which is why I have a song here, "Dance of the Fireflies." I think it fits that vibe. It's more subdued, but it more subtle, but it does represent the optimism for New Settlement well.
Yeah,
But
like I see Dance of the Fireflies in the context of the game. I think of like the start of electricity being involved and this feeling of progress, of being at the start of something that's going to have ripple throughout the world and history.
right, so that was my starting point. What I eventually came, the conclusion I eventually came to was that there is another game that does that feeling a little better, in my opinion, and that's Rise of Nations with the song Santiago, which is very folky. It's the
Yeah.
name is uh, it does come from Santiago, Chile.
Yeah.
So the instrumentation is obviously heavily inspired by the natives, and it, it the mix of flutes, percussion, and guitar basically makes it feel like a prosperous native tribe holding some sort of festival in my mind.
Yeah, like it reflects its strong identity, but isn't beholden strictly to tradition. It's moving forward while keeping the head high.
Yeah, and it does help that I really love the Rise of Nation soundtrack. Dwayne Decker is great.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's a really fun song that it does showcase that feeling of optimism, and it does in fact when you're playing Rise of Nations, this song does play only when you are focused on your economy and you are not at war, because Rise of Nations is an RTS. It does have
yeah.
real-time
It's
combat.
closer to an Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, it's kind of like in a way, kind of like Age of Empires 2 with some civilization inspirations here and there. For example, you don't train units one at a time, you train platoons all at once,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So it's not turn based at all, but it does have some inspirations here and there, to the point where it does have a turn based campaign where each turn is an RTS uh, map. Uh, but yeah,
oh yeah. Like
yeah,
Dawn
the
of
world.
War had a campaign system like that for the expansions.
Yeah, it's the I think it's called World Conquest or something like that. It's for those familiar with the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, it's kind of like the uh, galactic mode there, but
Ah,
instead of a shooter, it's an RTS every time you go to a new map. It's sort of that vibe. Uh,
all right.
I guess you could compare to Empire at Wars, Galactic Conquest mode. Um, but anyway, this song doesn't play in those menus; it plays in the actual
Yeah.
RTS. Uh,
It's basically when you're chill at home, progressing, building your little guys, researching your little tech, and having a good time.
I think it actually does specifically play when your score is actually going up too. So it is basically a song for your little golden age in a way. Um,
Great.
and I can't state this enough. I love those flutes. Like they sound great on this song.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, if we wanna go back to the start of this episode, and you wanna ask me a song I would love to see Flute Guy playing, this is one of them.
Oh, strong way to put it together.
I don't think it's
Now I
ever
want
gonna
to hear it
happen
too.
because Microsoft seems to have forgotten that Rise of Nations is a franchise that exists. But if it were to happen, I would be happy.
Oh, yeah. And who knows, maybe there are ways to, like, if you make it your sole life's goal to have one specific person play a specific track, it feels complicated but achievable. Like, musicians will play music for money. I have it on good authority.
It would be a shame if I didn't have that money, but yes, that is correct.
That's one limiting factor for sure.
But let's get back to optimism, I suppose.
Sure, as soon as I'm done picturing a situation similar to do you know the Shia LaBeouf song?
I've
Actual
heard
Cannibal
of it.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, the meme
have you
is
seen
good.
the MV for it?
I don't think I have actually.
Well, it's basically look at the scene for most of the song, but as the song ends, you look at the theater where the song is being performed, which is entirely empty except for Shia LaBeouf, who's applauding with a complete stern face.
Okay, I have seen the meme. Yes.
Excellent.
I don't think I ever watched the full video. Now that you mention
I
it.
recommend it. It's a good video. But yeah, but with an orchestra featuring Pedro Pascal playing that song.
Pedro Eustache.
Pedro Eustache, sorry.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal is the actor.
I'm mixing my Pedros with another name that works very well as a French first name.
I hadn't thought of it in those terms, but you are right. Anyway, what's I don't have a segue. What's your next pick? Let's go with that.
All right. Great segue, my friend.
Yeah, I'm trying. Look, I'm trying.
And I appreciate that. Yeah, so for the next pick, I first, during the research phase, looked for something that was inspiring, and my mind went to Unwavering Belief, which is the final boss theme from Lost Judgment. And I probably wouldn't have kept that in because it's too much of a struggle within to really characterize and embody joy the way I'd want. However, I misremembered the name of that track, and instead I typed Unwavering Resolve and found the track from Soul Calibur 2 named Unwavering Resolve, and was like, oh, yeah, no, that works way better. So 1 point for happy coincidences, and 1 point for it just being a very strong, inspiring track that drives you forward and sounds like a heroic tale. And one bonus point for it being a series that I love, that I've loved ever since before the release of Soul Calibur 2, when I played the Japanese version at a bar that had a kind of local meetup. And I didn't know how to play that game at all, but found it cool and impressive, and it did things that other fighting games just didn't do. And it's just a series that I love and that brought me to places like locals, like a tournament at Japan Expo once. And what's more fun than that? Video games that are good and that are enjoyed in communities, both large and small, both online and offline.
You know, I kind of have to say this. If you want to talk about happy coincidences and in an episode about optimism, you may as well name drop and quote the icon of optimism, Bob Ross, and say it was a happy little accident.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Strong argument then, not gonna lie.
This song is a very similar to the Wonderful 101. It's a very heroic theme, but it's obviously coming from a different angle. It's less Saturday morning cartoon.
Less prescriptive, and it feels refreshing is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah, that works. That works. I really enjoy its use of horns, and I think at the climax of the song there's even some bells in the background. It works really well for a heroic theme, and it really is one of those like you have a lot of heroic themes that do this. This is one of those that show optimism for what the hero will achieve. Let's say it's not simply a march for the hero. It is being optimistic about what the hero will actually do.
Yeah, it's less about the fight and more about what you're fighting for. No, this isn't at the Mega Man transition yet, but that would have been pretty great.
Not the right game in the franchise, but I get it.
True.
I get it.
Excellent. And overall, like, I don't really have that much to say besides that Junichi Nakatsuru does some great work with the track and a lot of the song that brings this kind of musical identity of Soul Calibur as a whole, as a game filled with these heroic themes, and it matches more than anything the strange speeches that happen before the round starts, like two souls stare each other in the eye and only one will triumph.
I forgot Soul Calibur did that. I guess that's where the latest Guilty Gear got it from.
I mean, it's a whole subgenre at this point.
Guilty Gear does do it more weirdly than Soul Calibur, though.
It's longer, especially. Like, the speeches in Soul Calibur last like 3 seconds as you get a stage flyover for mankind has decided to blame the beast and blah blah blah. That whole intro sequence lasts over a minute.
Yeah, Guilty Gear Strive's fighting intros are like reading a novel.
I believe from the betas that the Token Fighting Souls, which is the Marvel superheroes fighting game, intros are even longer than that, to the point where I don't think I've ever seen the opening sequence of a single match in full, because nobody has time to see each of your 4 characters walk forward in those colored smokes and just show themselves around. Like, have a bit of brevity sometimes. But that's besides the point.
I don't think I've seen that. Good lord.
Yeah. To be fair, the game isn't out yet.
Yeah, I know, but it does feel like something that Arxis would do.
Yeah. And so, as a final step for Soul Calibur 2, for that song, and for the series in a broader sense, I suppose when thinking of joy and looking ahead, the series is kind of in dormancy, but I mean, the question that people that unfortunately don't work at Namco anymore, but still are doing some great work with popular video games, are asking is, does your soul still burn? And I don't think the series return, the possibility of the series return is hopeless. I think there'll come a stage where we'll have more Soul Calibur in one way or another, and I just hope it's going to be a great time. It has been every time in some way or another. I may not go to bat for the entirety of Soul Calibur 4, for instance, but even that had its moments.
Soul Calibur as a franchise has never really been one for like yearly releases or anything. So
Yeah.
a new
It's
title
taking
might
its time. It's going to need the right people making the right decisions at the right time, and maybe we'll get a miss or two along the way if we get those. But when it comes back, I look forward already to the first game in the series with good online. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
That's the main thing that's been missing from the experience one way or another. And if you organize with people, you can make it work with parsec and lobbies. But it's a bit more involved, definitely.
Please put rollback netcode into your fighting games.
Indeed.
I don't
or
even
some
play
other solution as long as it works.
Yeah, I don't even play against other players. I'm a PvE guy, and I still am like in the camp of why don't they do this?
Yeah, it's a good feature. It's available for free. You just have to implement it, and that just is putting a lot of work. But I like to play good games with good quality features. Crazy.
We aren't devs. We can say just do it.
You're right. We are commenting on the internet.
Oh boy, this is gonna age well.
Now then, sending it back at you with a game from popular fighting games makers Capcom.
We're hey, like
I'm doing my best.
Yeah, our segues today are next level, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Mega Man 7. I think I even brought up this song before. It's a Freeze Man stage, the iceberg area.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I brought it up on our Mega Man special or on one of our episodes talking about icy themes, but I think I brought it up before. But I figured bringing it back up to look at it under the different lens of it as an optimistic theme would be interesting. I think we can have some different perspectives on the resulting song, and yeah, I
honestly, like, musically, I 100% get it. When it comes to game selection and kind of game tone, the most surprising part of it is that you haven't picked a Battle Network track.
I thought about it, but my favorite songs from Battle Network are the boss fight themes.
I see.
So I couldn't really remember any of the happy themes other than the main theme.
Yeah, that checks out.
I have said this before, and I will continue to say this forever. I hate the GBA sound chip with the Battle Network.
Oh wait, I just realized there was the transition we could have done. Here's a long dormant game series that's getting revived.
There you go. Mega Man
Yeah.
Joe Override soon. But yeah, like I did think about the Battle Network franchise because of the different Mega Man sub franchises, it is usually the most optimistic one, except for Battle Network 3. That one was really
Yeah.
sad. Uh, but it's just like you can try out Battle Network 5. It has a DS port, and you can see just how much better it sounds on the DS.
Oh,
Uh,
no kidding.
I just hate the GBA sound chip for the majority of the Battle Network tracks.
The
But
Super NES sound chip, however, sounds mighty fine.
it is great. I actually grew up with Mega Man 7. Mega Man 7 is sort of it was the black sheep of the original Mega Man series before Mega Man 8 came out. Because
Fair.
people were used to the NES titles, and so 7
Yeah.
changed a lot of stuff. But I grew up with 7, and the Freezeman stage theme is one that has stuck in my mind ever since. Because we are when we talk about the classic franchise, already are talking about one of the franchises with more optimistic sounding stage themes, as opposed to X-Zero and ZX going for more action-packed stuff.
Yeah, unless you are in like the stage before the last on Wily's Castle or something like that, you're not really getting that much of a focus on tension and terror and dread. It's more you doing the hero thing, kinda.
Pretty much. And the Freezeman stage in particular, like Mega Man 7 has two different stages that I think have specifically very happy sounding themes. One of them is Springman, which is a little bit too happy for my taste. But then you have
it's not quite Clone Man's theme, but it's getting close.
it does get very close. But the other one is Freezeman, which from what I've heard, I don't think many Americans listening to this are gonna be happy about the winter. But this is a song that feels like an optimistic look towards the winter. Kind of like the idea of having some childish fun in the snow.
Yeah.
The same snow that is getting a lot of people stuck in their homes right now. Sorry, Americans.
Yeah, but snowed in days when you're 7 and you have a plastic sled with you are great.
I would say I can see it, but I live in the tropics, so snow, what's that?
Well, then trust me because I've lived it.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I don't know if I have much more to add about the song because I have discussed this before in the podcast. But this is a really uh, accidental pun. This is a really chill song, but it's optimistically chill.
Yeah, like it's no pressure in a way.
Yeah, it's just happy vibes.
Which is all the more ironic given that I've recently played the very first Mega Man and Iceman stage was the one I started with. No, that was second after Flame Man stage. I went for Iceman, which doesn't take increased damage from Flame Man. And just getting there, the stage is... I had to do a rant about it at a moment, and then started using the quick save feature because otherwise I would have turned into a rage monster.
I mean, to be fair about the weakness, Bomb Man is there, and his bombs do have fuses.
I guess.
Yeah, the first Mega Man, the first 6 Mega Man, but especially the first one wasn't very forgiving.
Yeah.
Mega Man 7 is remarkably easy for the classic franchise until you get to Wily. Screw Wily. I don't think I ever finished Mega Man 7 because of that final boss fight.
Oof. Now, one thing of note, as I've confirmed by giving it a little quick search, is that the Robot Masters, before being bosses, have a role in the series' functions. And apparently, Freezeman was about using low temperature to create energy for chips and bring it to everyone. So it's part of a very clean future project of sorts.
Yeah, it is. Mega Man 7 is one of those games where at least some of the robots have some sort of explanations to why they were made, why they were around. I think the first four have explanations, but the latter four don't. Mega Man 7 is divided into halves. Which does lead to a funny comment that I saw on the comment section for the video that is on our playlist, where someone said that Freezeman was made to avoid pollution, and his weakness is pollution because he's weak to Junkman's weapon.
Yeah, honestly, that checks out.
It kind of does. Like, they thought it through.
Yeah. As a final note, when it comes to joyful memories and my relation to Mega Man as a franchise, I will also bring up, specifically for Mega Man 7, that the sprites from that game have gotten a lot of mileage from a lot of people in the early 2000s.
Shout outs to Dave Aines from Bob and George.
Yep. And I certainly did a few sprite comics myself, along with a few of my friends. And one fun thing I remember about creating at that era was that inevitably, after like a few early episodes of some creative project, there comes a time where striving for improvement for something that is already enjoyed makes making the next one a bit more complicated, a bit harder, to the point where it becomes too much and you stop making it. To the point where one mini project I initiated was a mini project I initiated was making things that follow the format of a 4-panel sprite comic, except the characters are just shapes and the continuity is whatever is in works and anyone can contribute, and any comic that is put in that timeline and any character that is created is immediately canon. No discussion, no argument. We reach 100 of those in 4 days.
I can see that the spirit of chaos took over your mind very early in your life.
Yeah, one of the characters was a pirate turtle that was represented by a green triangle.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, it was great. Shame I think they got lost to time, because who needs having your own FTP online anymore?
RIP.
Indeed. But instead of crying over past features lost to times, let's instead consider that Devil May Cry 2. Oh, well, Devil May Cry 5 in this instance.
Our segues are hurting me today.
Yeah, we are doing segues.
Let's be optimistic. We are getting through this.
Yes, we are proceeding in a linear forward fashion.
Oh boy.
But this one kind of got added, even though I didn't intend to at first. because what happened during my research is that I research for the tracks on YouTube because it's widely accessed, and sometimes there's recommendation and you're like, oh, I haven't thought of that one, let me put that one next, which led to basically me listening to 3 hours of things that were straying further and further away from the theme of what I was looking for, inevitably. But wasn't a bad time. And a lot of the things that I listened or re-listened to are a lot of big, weird meme edits and mashups. Things like adding Space Jam to this song, or adding a full medley with a Sonic theme that has Gangnam Style here, and
you didn't listen to One
rap
Wing
lyrics there.
You didn't listen to One Wing Danjo, the Space Jam remix again, did you?
Surprisingly, no. But also, if I did, I would have asked you to clarify, because there's multiple of those.
Oh God, of course there are.
Yeah. But after having done those kind of re-listen, I tried to drag it back to the topic and kind of acknowledge the fact that these songs, silly as they may be, make me happy as well. And when I'm looking for a quick pick-me-up, something to cheer me up, it's one of those songs that are a bit silly, you know? Going without taking yourself too seriously. And when it came to actual tracks from video games, I first considered another option, and this was the milder one. So thank whatever force was at work there that I didn't go for an edit of the Knuckles theme from Sonic Adventure, where most of the keywords are replaced with Knuckles. Instead, I went with a track that's fully in-game, namely Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry 5, because it carries that kind of silly, campy energy.
For some reason, I'm not surprised that that Knuckles song exists.
Oh, it's great. It takes bits of syllables to start singing in Japanese by the end.
Oh, Christ. Oh, as far as the Devil May Cry track, please do expand on what makes this optimistic.
Well, it's mainly my relation to it. I wanted this episode to feel a bit more personal than an objective analysis or something. But if you look into the themes and what the songs say, and down to its name, it's about unleashing yourself. And like, the Devil Trigger is the super mode in the games where you are super powered and start completely mowing through normal enemies like they're nothing, and just this moment of power fantasy of going, I'm just not going to have trouble with that. It's, in a way, kind of the opposite of the Wonderful 101, because it's sometimes you just have to take the easy route and enjoy the ride along the way. That and this feeling of letting it out is the part that I feel is about optimism, about joy, about a celebration in its own way.
All right, I can see it.
Yeah. And it's an intense track as well. It's got some big heavy guitars, but that doesn't mean it has to be grumpy about it, and it certainly isn't in this case. It embraces the camp, and it's a case where the Devil May Cry series as a whole has a sense of grandeur. It's very baroque in a lot of ways, but it's stylish, and it's cool, and then it looks at how to one up the last bit of coolness. And there's moments of intensity and of danger, of course, but when you think of what makes Devil May Cry so unique, you think of the silly white hat guy in the big red vest that's swinging a sword in one hand and eating a part of a piece of pizza with the other.
That's fair.
Yeah, and that's what this song is about. And that's why I think of it in relation to this theme. Also, it's very good. I think that part is in play for all of our picks.
Pretty much. This, I'd say this is an episode where we don't really have a bad song in the playlist. We sometimes have some questionable ones, but I don't think this episode is one of those.
In a way, this song is kind of the bright and cheery version of going berserk. It's like the other side of Doom, the only thing they fear is your coin, is.
I guess we'll talk a little bit more about a cheery version of going berserk on the final track of our main list, because that also applies to that game.
Fair. Well, let's get one step closer to it then and talk about some Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, so this is also one of the first was one of the first songs that came to my mind when the theme was talked about.
Understandable.
Specifically the main theme in the actual soundtrack is called Chrono Trigger. Here it's called main theme by a cover by Malcolm Robinson.
Yeah.
And it's say it with me again, it's a heroic theme. Yay.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more
it feels less centered on a character and more on a group and more driven on the action than on the individual.
Yeah, I'd say it's there is a little bit of like personal heroics, especially at the start. But most of the song feels more like an optimistic look at an upcoming adventure.
Yeah.
Which it works also with where it plays in the game because it doesn't just play on the title screen. If you're listening and you haven't played Chrono Trigger, which you should, it also plays when the characters discover what happened to the world in the future and decide that they are going to travel through time to save the world.
Yeah. And what you just said, it's kind of a powerful moment. Like, here is a spoiler in game for the world ending, and you are currently in the consequences of that world end. Cool. Let's do something about it because I believe we can. That's inspiring.
It would come off as a bit naive in a lot of other games because the protagonists are a bunch of teenagers. I think they're supposed to be.
And a robot.
And a robot.
Oh wait, not yet. I think.
No, at this point, yes.
Okay.
I think this is right after.
Yeah, right after you get it.
But yeah, the people coming to this conclusion are basically teenagers, and on most games, that decision will come off as naive. But in Chrono Trigger, it works.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the character designs. I don't know if it's the general tone of the game. I don't know if it's a mix of both. It could also just be the music.
In a way, it's kind of a reflection on another layer on the fact that this game happened at all. It's an all-star dream team that comes together and does something that many to this day still consider one of the best video games, period.
I mean, I have been known on this podcast for not being a JRPG player, and I still love the hell out of it. Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It's not quite my favorite JRPG, but it's probably number 2.
Yeah. That's a good position.
Yeah, it's the song just works. Like sometimes it just works.
Sometimes it just works. It just uses the sound capacities of the console and works with it to make something that stays with you and illustrates your motivation. It's not even driving you forward. You're driving forward. It's just along for the ride at this point.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, the sprite comics I mentioned, the first one I made, had as the two main characters a recolor of Zero and a recolor of Magus.
That tracks.
Now then, let's move to the last track that's a bit between two worlds, one being Vampire Survivors and the other being Castlevania.
Two great tastes that taste great together, as they say.
Exactly. Well, to be fair, the first Great Taste was very heavily modeled after parts of the second Great Taste, so there's reason it works.
Let's not get into details.
Hey, they made it work well enough to work with them, so, you know.
I do, as a side note, I do still love that they announced a collaboration with Konami and came up with Contra first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a deliberate joke.
Either that or a kind of a test on Konami's side of things.
I am still hoping for a Castlevania collab with Vampire Crawlers, just because why not at that point?
Yeah, no, I'm more on the Might and Magic ride for this. But what matters to me when it comes to this song and this pick is kind of a follow-up to what I said at the end of the Soul Calibur section, because optimism can run out of steam when you are facing the realities that the thing you want the most isn't really around. And you kind of need examples of things working out to drive you forward and wait for the next good thing to happen. And this was one of the cases where you played Vampire Survivors and it's like, oh, this new extremely cheap genre creating game is pretty good. It's using a lot of Castlevania content. Shame it can be official. Oh, now it's official. All right. And the expansion for that is kind of bigger than the main game. That's amazing. Now, one can only hope at this point that even though they gave us incredible amounts of content, it goes one step further. But that's silly. They've already done so much. I'm just going too deep for wanting that one specific track from Super Castlevania 4 that I love so much. Oh, it's there. All right, then. It's kind of a miracles do happen sometimes situation. And in a way, also has that feeling you've shared about the Game Awards Orchestra mix, about seeing in the work of others, in this case, that you're not alone in having been deeply affected positively by some specific pieces of art, like the theme for the Treasury Room from Super Castlevania 4.
Yeah, this entire game and its DLCs are, as I always say, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the Super Castlevania 4 soundtrack because, of course, I am a goth, and that is probably the most gothic soundtrack in the franchise. until at least Symphony of the Night, but arguably even more gothic.
Yeah, they really moved the kind of tone of the sound to make it very haunting, especially in the part when you are still approaching the castle.
Yeah, it's very very moody is how I would describe the soundtrack in general. And
yeah, like the waterfall, the cave, all of those. They are calmer themes after a loud beginning, and it really sets up an atmosphere that brings forth the darkness that the castle has wrought upon the land. And this theme is a contrast to this darkness because well, it happens right after you go in the darkest part of the castle, one might argue, which is the torture chambers. You go there and everything is covered in gold and you are jumping on chests and even the skeletons are made out of gold. Or at least covered in it, I suppose. And
isn't the
it's
boss
all,
a bat
it's all
that
very
is
bright.
made of gold?
Yep, very much. It's the one bad verse that every Castlevania game must have, but this one is made out of money. And there is definitely an air of decadence to it, of course, but when it comes to kind of the visual identity, well, it is certainly haunted. I think the music is the main theme for, is the main argument for this level having kind of a more dynamic and joyful twist to it.
I think the Vampire Survivors remix, in particular, one by Daniela Zandara, her name.
Yeah.
It plays into that because it does start with a moody intro in the same vein of the original soundtrack from the actual Super Castlevania 4 game.
A
But
bit of darkness to make the light shine even brighter.
yeah, it sounds much more upbeat right after that intro, and much more fitting for Vampire Survivors playstyle.
Especially given that this game is all about being like completely covering your screen in shinies.
Yeah, it's basically like going to a casino, but without having to lose money.
Exactly.
Which, now that I put that away, it does fit with that that blingy vampire bat.
Absolutely, 101%. Yes, I'm still keeping that bit up.
Yeah, I've noticed. But it's a song that I would say it's not exactly happy, but it is it does sound optimistic about the outcome of what the hero is doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair. And with that special slant that the Vampire Survivors version is, it's also about letting yourself revel in those witches a little bit.
oh, those,
About
yes.
enjoying the complete torrent of goodness that you've unleashed around you.
Your dopamine.
Yeah, because earning your victory, resting them from the jaws of defeat is nice, but this one almost feels like a bit of gloating after that. And you know what? Sometimes, as long as it's not an excuse to beat somebody else down, it's good to do that, to look back at what you've achieved, however big or small, and to take joy in it too.
I have nothing to add to that.
Then I feel like that's a good conclusion as any. So let's move on to a completely different game at the start of the next section, which is, of course, Music Arcade, now playing.
And now for something completely different.
Yeah, let's talk Castlevania instead.
That sounds familiar.
Great. In particular, I will start with something that isn't quite a game because it's the live streamable film of the theatrical performance from the Takarazuka review of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I've mentioned before in this episode that I like my camp things and that I like my cool things, and this delivered.
I am also very sure that friend of the podcast, Sam, aka Zeral, is very happy that a musical made it in.
Yeah, I didn't know she loved musicals in particular.
She did try to convince us into making an episode about musicals, but all three of us went, I don't think I have material for that.
Well, now I have one more example, and it worked wonderfully. It's way more French than Symphony of the Night conveyed it as well. There's multiple scenes about French revolutionaries and Robespierre eventually being sacrificed to the guillotine, with an amazing moment where Shaft is using his dark power over Robespierre, and there's a moment where the actress for Robespierre lowers her head and does what looks like struggles, but then looks back under Shaft's influence, and the makeup she's wearing is smeared as a way to represent a more sinister, more monstrous aspect of the very same character because of that influence, on top of the lighting and the choreography, and it all works so good. And right after the guillotine falls, which split the French flag in half and reveals Dracula's coffin right behind that split flag. Isn't everything that I'm saying amazing?
That's some high production level.
Oh yeah, no, like the costumes are incredible, the stage work is great, the plot works, it changes some things and it works ultimately. Alucard pulling complete amazing dance move while keeping their face completely deadpan is an absolute wonder. Wood carving partita makes for great illustration for flashback. It's also so extra that the fire that burns down Lisa is made also out of dancers.
God.
Dracula's Castle as a musical sting made with brass is already pretty great. Tower of Mist doing that is unexpected and incredible twist on that.
Yeah, you shared a clip of Tower of Mist.
I needed to share that around.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
let's put it that
me
way.
Neither. I was like, wait, is that? Yeah, all right. That worked. It's like sometimes it feels like it's unleashing some aspect of the piece of the music that are there, rather than readapting and inventing new aspect to it.
I've seen also some clips here and there. I didn't watch the whole thing. And anyone who's familiar with Castlevania might be wondering, like, well, the original voice for Alucard in English was very deep, and even in Japanese, his voice has always been one of the deeper ones out of all the characters. How does an all-female cast make it work? They make it work. That lady goes very deep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, like, after the first few minutes, if it's your first Takarazuka production, you don't really think about who is playing what. They just play the character because they're good actors.
Yeah. Again, I haven't seen much, but what I've seen is very impressive.
Yeah. And one of the parts that impressed me the most was the vocal stamina on Alucard's actor. It's incredible because he's a pretty central character, of course, and the first after the first part until the Dracula's resurrection, Alucard is pretty low key, but once you start following him more closely, it's just again and again for like an hour of performances after performances, following very naturally, very continuously one into the other, and it's super impressive, super cool, and I appreciate that it's accessible even for us from overseas in a convenient package that actually accepts payment methods that are common there, and it wasn't a hassle at all to access it. So yeah, for that, and I'm happy I supported, hopefully, the ability to have more of that in the future.
Yeah, I was seriously debating paying for this, even though I really am not into musicals at all. I like
Yeah.
I am the kind of guy who, when I was a kid, I used to watch Disney movies and I would ask myself, why the hell are those characters singing? As a kid. So musicals really aren't my thing. But even then
Yeah.
I was still like thinking about it. It's just the conversion rate to
like
Brazilian
there's
yen.
musicals and there's a musical of Castlevania.
That does make a little bit of a difference for my goth heart, yes.
I know, right?
But yeah, the exchange rate made it a bit expensive on my end.
Yeah.
So I had to skip
I
it.
figured that might be the issue. Next, haven't played it recently, but Street Fighter 6 apparently decided that they would take the comments that the music at launch was made very personally and decided to release ahead of the release of Alex his character theme, which is by Jam Project, which was a strong contender for one of the picks for this episode, and that do this huge high energy we going to win and save the world kind of music, and they did one for this character. Even though he's in his heel phase, they go like he is using the mask of darkness to bring joy to the people, and that's cool. That's fun.
I think it's worth bringing up. Like, if you're listening to this and you don't know who Jam Project are, they're basically a Japanese. Sorry, I heard another bike.
Yeah.
They're basically a Japanese supergroup of anime opening theme performers.
Yeah, they do some video game themes as well. It's not the first video game project. They worked a lot on the Super Robot Wars series, and I've enjoyed their tracks in the past before they did like the One Punch Man opening, which was probably the more recent, very large-scale claim to fame.
Yeah, I think so. At least that comes to my mind. I personally am a really huge fan of Yoshiki Fukuyama, who plays guitars for them. He also sings, but he's mostly a guitarist.
Yeah, and on some of those tracks, the guitar has absolutely no chill.
Yeah, Fukuyama's great. I discovered him because of an anime called Buzorenkin, which is from the same creator. It's from the late 2000s, if I recall correctly. It's by the same guy who made Rurouni Kenshin. But it's about alchemy, and I had just finished watching Fullmetal Alchemist, so I gotta watch the other alchemy anime. I was a weird teenager.
Hey, look, as an atelier enthusiast, you don't have to justify yourself to me.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Another thing about Jam Project that is probably more relevant to most people who don't know who they are. One of the main singers for Jam Project is Hironobu Kageyama, who might sound familiar to some because he's responsible for all the openings of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. which is a nice thing on the 40th anniversaries of the series.
Yeah, that was a happy coincidence, let's say, that we're recording this on the day after the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. We just didn't have any Dragon Ball games to bring up, but I guess Chrono Trigger counts. Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Next, also a game I haven't been playing, but I've watched a video that was a retrospective on.
I just want to make things clear.
Yeah.
So your first entry for now playing was a musical you watched. Your second entry is a game you aren't playing, and your third entry is a game you also aren't playing. You're a cheater.
We're not at the punchline yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I've watched a retrospective on the Star Control series, and one mention that was made across the probably most notable game of the series, which is Star Control 2, was that the music was very good, and was apparently as such because they did a call to a variety of composers to bring their work in, and the results speak for themselves. It's a very diverse soundtrack, of course, multiple composers, very diverse results, but I've listened it to make my own opinion, and my opinion is that a lot of those are absolute gems. Yeah, I'm into it. And it's early space themes that have a lot of personality, which I appreciate.
That's cool.
Yeah. But as for what I've been playing, I'm so happy the timing made it so that I am saying that as Galen isn't in the episode, but I play Arknights.
So I've heard.
Yeah, Arknights Enfield, but it's been a fun time.
Yeah,
The scenario has been uninteresting to me, but the systems work in ways that every other feature they reveal, I'm like, oh, that's a nice way to make it work. And so I'm having a good time.
I do have to note that based on the screenshots I've seen of Enfield, you're also one step closer to playing Destiny, so I'm happy for you.
Yeah, there's also a bit of that, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's been fun. And we've mentioned in last episode about games we're looking forward to this year that the music for Arknights Enfield suffered a lot for the comparison with the original, and that's definitely still true. But I will say that in-game, a lot of them are used pretty effectively. Like the transition from the more neutral themes to the battle theme worked well. Even the main music has a transition point where when it goes from the loading part to the you can actually get into the game part, the theme evolves from one step to the next. It does changes for some specific game modes, and the implementation of the music is more impressive to me than the composition, but an impressive implementation is impressive nonetheless.
It's a shame the compositions aren't as good, but also the original Arknights set the bar really, really high.
Yeah, and here's hoping that now that we are out of Wenfield and into perpetual occasional releases mode, they're going to find time to call up some compositions and give themselves time to make cool set pieces and illustrate them with climactic finishes that these moments deserve. Which is a lot of work to say, good song, bring them to us, thanks. Now then, what have you been playing, Eddie?
I've actually been taking things slow for the past couple weeks. My sleep schedule is all over the place.
Taking things slow is nice too.
Yeah, so I've been playing some Plague Inc. They added the Outbreak mode, which is basically daily missions with randomized modifiers.
You
Uh,
may not have been sick, but you sure played sickness nonetheless.
if you were more into the heavy metal world, you could have potentially said that I am down with the sickness. Yes, uh, just not in the way people
True,
usually mean.
true.
But yeah, it's a fun new mode. No new music, but it's a fun new mode. The modifiers make it interesting.
And for the music you've linked for this game, honestly, pretty fun track too.
I do enjoy the Plague Inc. soundtrack. I think it's the whole endemic productions
Mm-hmm.
is sort of they sort of have underrated soundtracks, I would say. That goes for Plague Inc.,
Yeah.
that goes for Rebel Inc., and also After Inc. There are three
Yeah.
games. Uh,
Gave me, for this track, a bit of Space Game vibes, which is high praise.
I,
Really, one of my favorite puzzle game soundtrack.
I really do like the title to All in Your Head, specifically the theme for the nail rock worm, which
Yeah.
is specifically
It's in your head.
yeah, it's this disease type is specifically a worm that attaches to the brain, and you can then control people. Uh, so
Cool.
the the title for the track is very literal. Um, I've also last time we had a now playing section where I was actually in the episode. I talked about how I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the Archipelago randomizer. Uh,
Yeah.
I've stopped doing that, but I haven't stopped testing the Archipelago randomizer. I'm now doing that with StarCraft 2. Uh, Turns out the fan base and the modders are absolutely amazing. They're making some incredible things work. The Archipelago randomizer for StarCraft 2 works way much better than you would expect. Um,
Modding team pulls absolute miracles. More news at 7.
yeah, pretty much. Um, on the playlist is basically the one song I've been hearing the most because I've been playing a lot of Protoss. And if you've played the Legacy of the Void campaign, you know that every other mission, the Golden Armada plays in the background. It's stuck in my brain now for better or worse because I've done
Better eat than a worm.
yes, but yeah, I've done I think 4 or 5 different campaigns on the randomizer so far, and Protoss is my main
Impressive.
faction, so you can imagine that song played a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's
More of a Tyrann main here, by the way.
sorry.
I'm more of a Tyrann main myself.
Terran's my second. Zerg is the one I'm the
Hmm.
worst at,
Fair.
mostly because I suck at micro. But yeah, as far as the song, like I think it's a very well executed song. It does its job really well. I just heard it so many times that I'm just playing with YouTube in the background now. Um, Another game I've been playing, I went back to Islands of Insight because I just needed something more chill to play in the night. Uh,
Yeah.
Islands of Insight, I mentioned it once in the podcast when it was still a new game back in 2024, I think.
I think it was even unreleased at that time.
It was either very new or it was in beta about to be released, something like that. It was an online puzzle game, sort of an MMO puzzle game, but you play puzzles alone. It's just you can interact with other people. They have
Yeah.
since turned the servers off. I honestly don't know what their intended monetization model was because I don't see a monetization model for a puzzle game. Uh,
Yeah.
but they did leave the game available with an offline mode, so you can still log into the offline
Good.
mode. And
Good. I wasn't sure about that when they mentioned turning the servers off, but yeah, if it's still playable, then good.
and the offline mode still has daily quests and daily respawning puzzles in the world. So it literally works exactly as the online version did, with the exception of you are not gonna see other people around.
Yeah.
And
one might then be brought to question why was it online in the first place, but in the spirit of this episode, I would rather simply celebrate the fact that game's not dead.
I do think it works, to be honest. It being online, because of the story that it's trying to tell, it's kind of
Ah,
like it's not focused on the story. The story is like you can read snippets if you want, sort of that sort of deal. But what I have checked, it sort of paints this idea of a new world is being born, and so a lot of seekers are being sent out to discover this world. So that ties into having multiple people around. Um, but the experience in terms of actual gameplay doesn't change at all, which is, I guess, it's good because it means the game can still be alive today. I can still
yeah,
play it today. Like, I think it's been a year since it's closed. They've closed the servers, and I can still play it. So,
something like that, yeah.
so kudos for that. And I have one final entry. A peek behind the curtain. We were meant to record yesterday, and we had to delay.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the delay, I have one more game because I started playing a game last night. It's called The Root Trees Are Dead. It's
Oh, I heard of that.
yeah, it's a sort of a detective puzzle game where the root tree family has had um, a disaster happen to a part of the family. They died in a plane crash, and now
Mm-hmm.
to deal with the estate, you have to track down everyone in the family tree, and
Neat.
you're using books and the internet and magazines to find information about them to for
One part blueprints, one part Obradin, then?
yeah, more or less, without the
Cool.
roguelite aspect of blueprints.
Of course.
Um, I do have to note a couple things. First,
Yeah.
in regards to the soundtrack, it's stock music. That's why it's not on the playlist.
Ah,
Most of it is by Kevin MacLeod, which, if you've been following YouTube videos, you have definitely heard at least one song by him once in your life. Everyone on YouTube uses Kevin MacLeod music. Uh,
yeah.
and the other thing I have to talk about is regarding the use of generative AI. Now,
Oh.
the version I'm playing, and which is the one available for purchase on Steam, does not have generative AI. But the game has a free version on itch.io that does have generative AI images.
I see.
Because the game started as a game jam project from a couple years ago, before there was actual discourse about the validity
Yeah,
of
like
using AI.
the perception of the topic and the way the harm it does evolved as the knowledge and the usage broadened over the course of the year. It's still very recent development, and some nuance has to be played in this case.
Yeah, and this was for a game jam. The guy openly doesn't know how to paint or do digital art. So he asked a friend who was more into AI to ask me Journey for images because stock images just couldn't work here. He needs things that are very specific, and he
Yeah,
needs like group pictures of family reunions,
yeah.
which
And
would require the
since
same
then,
models, right?
yeah, and since then, I believe there's been more awareness and, in a way, more forgiveness on, like, more awareness on the topic of AI is as a tool in the preliminary process of making things that don't see release, but also as a result for those that reject it, even in that stage, of forgiveness for using a more simplistic placeholder art as long as it works.
Yeah, and
Like a stupid little doodle like the ones for the better art of cards for Slay the Spire will take me out of a game way less than seeing LLM generated picture.
Yeah, there's a really cool article about this game on The Verge. It's titled "How the Root Trees Are Dead Ditched AI and Became a Hit." I recommend reading it. Uh,
Hmm.
the short version of the story is that again, it was made for a game jam, and then it was just left for free on HIO because the developer was not okay with having a price tag on something that had AI imagery. And
Yeah, and
then
even then, a lot of game jam projects that are prototypes to other games are available that way to kind of have the historic aspect to it. I believe that's the case, for instance, uh, for Sacrifices Must Be Made, which was the game jam project that led to Inscription.
yep. And in the case of the root trees are dead, as the article says, Robin Ward, who's a programmer, he actually uh, he found the game on HIO, and he instantly thought this should be a bigger deal than it is, but with AI imagery, it can't. So he reached
Yeah,
out to the game's creator, and they agreed that Ward would program the game from scratch to be re-released, and would hire an illustrator to remake the images without AI. And that's the version that's on Steam. And there's even a comment from the original developer, Jeremy Johnston is the name, where he
hmm,
says that some of the original images were demonic with how warped the humans looked like. So yeah, like there is generative AI in the history of this game, but support developers who make good choices of ditching it, and it's a cool game.
yeah. I think that's the best takeaway in the end. It's a cool game.
And it's a good thing they ditched AI because we wouldn't have the game be this big otherwise. Or I at
Always
least
cool.
at the very least I wouldn't have felt comfortable trying the game with the AI images.
Yeah, that's fair. And with that, that is all the time we have for today. You can find us on Spotify, you can find us on YouTube. You can contact us at music.arcade.podcast at gmail.com for any question you have. You can also contact us on Blue Sky at, double checking the punctuation, it's still a recent account, music-arcade.bluesky.social. We'll see you next week. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy the fact that taking the moments of joy in the spirit of this episode. Until next time. See ya!
See ya.